trailing arm bushings on this thing. I don't know if I'll be able to get a good picture here, but if you look up in there, you can see that bushing, the trailing arm, has slid off the bushing that way. So anyway, it has shims, well, washers. I don't even think those are actually shims. They just stuck some washers in there trying to keep it centered, and it's not the way it should be. So we're gonna put bushings back in it, and that needs to have a cotter pin in it, and there should have been shims with a cotter pin right here going through it. Anyway guys, let me see about getting these brakes disconnected, and really would like to not crack them open because I don't want to have to bleed them, but I probably will. So anyway, let me get to taking this apart. Okay, well basically I'm going to start by taking this brake off. We'll take the line loose right here because it has to come off, and I have a bolt, I think it's a 3/8, but I wrapped some Teflon tape around it because it's not the correct thread, but it'll be enough to plug it so it's not just completely draining out. So I'm going to take it loose there, take it loose off the back here, and then the two 5/8 bolts. And I've got a piece of wood that I'm going to slip between it when I lift it up off there, so that way the pistons don't close in and it'll be easier to go back on. So let me get that taken care of. Okay, got the brake off here, and we got to take the bolts. These are 1/4 inch by 12 point. Got to take them out. Now what I do, I take this strap here, so I went under, over, and then hooked to that, kind of around that, and I just hook it to this edge here, so it's pulling this way, so when I loosen these up, it doesn't start trying to pull away on me. So we're going to take this loose next, and I'll show you the bushings inside this one. If you can see, they're the same way. That bushing should not be sticking out. There's washers on both sides, but because this is a different style of bushing than what the OE was, that basically is what caused the problem. And once I get this out, I'll show you a comparison of both of them next to each other and how they're supposed to be put in so that it prevents it from doing that. Okay, I'm going to release this spring here, and you can watch how it pulls away from the U-joint. Once I release it like that, so otherwise it would have had tension on it that whole time. So anyway, let's take the strap loose. Okay, now for taking your spring loose, because this thing actually is going to move quite a bit, so you don't want to just take this off because it's going to spring down with a lot of force. I take one of these vice grips that has a flat bill on it and I clamp it on the two bottom springs, right, if you can see where, right before that third spring, so it doesn't slip up. And then you put this stand, or you can put a jack right there on this side of it so it doesn't slip up. I've already ran it up some, so you can see this is loose, so there's no tension on that. Okay, now I'm going to take impact gun and hope it's quick enough that it will just spin it off. Nope. You're gonna have to put a backup up here. And that's gonna be fun. Alright, I need a pry bar to get this washer out of the way. We'll push down on that. Right there. Okay. Now we should be able to zip this off. Guys, okay. And down it comes just like that. And there it goes. Alright, so there's then like that one. And that way. There's the nut. So we got both of them. Pull that back out. And you can spin this down. There's no tension left on it. Good. That out of the way. Alright, so we got that loose. We'll take our shock loose. And then we got to take this rod right here off. Now when I do that, I'm going to have this trailing arm up level so it's not twisted in here. Okay, you can see here I have this rod almost level running upward. Have the trailing arm running back level like if it was setting at ride height. So we're going to take this one like that, put that there. Now we need to knock that bolt out right here. I use a brass hammer a lot because it's a lot softer than the metal I'm hitting, so you don't damage other stuff. That's about out. Yep. Should be able to just pull it out. Okay. Don't need that. We need this tool right here. Yep. I think we're gonna get something to put in between there. There we go. Cut it out. Okay. We're gonna use a hammer. Try and swing out. There we go. Alright. You can let this stand back down. Let that trailing arm relax. I'll show you how loose it is here in a second. I mean, this one really really bad. Okay, you should not be able to do that at all. That's junk. Okay, here's where it gets a little bit tricky trying to get this bolt out, because you got hard brake line here that you don't want to mess up. Try to get this behind the bolt somehow, or you can take a hammer and do like that. And now we should be able to see the bolt back in there somewhere, or not. It's hard to see back in there. Anyway, I'm going to lift up on this trailing arm, kind of wiggle it around, see if I can push the bolt out that way. Now I want to watch and see how many washers I get out of each side. And I'm gonna, at one point this was probably set right. It's just the bushings and arms have gave out, or the bushings have gave out and let the trailing arm walk over. Okay, we managed to get it out. What I did, I had it pushed all the way flush here. I took a pair of channel locks and grabbed hold of the bolt and then just kind of pried it that way while I was lifting and wiggling the trailing arm. Now, the ones laying here are my shims, washers that would have been on the driver's side. I'll set them aside. And then these here are going to be the passenger side ones. I don't know what they were doing with it. Probably wasn't right at any time, to be honest. But we'll probably set it back up similar to what the other one was. Get that out of the way. See if we can get up in there. Well, it's out. Grab these needle nose and grab a hold of it, maybe. There we go. We're out. Okay, we got the trailing arm out. Now, this is one of those hard nylon bushings. They do have a metal sleeve, slides in both sides, you can tell right there. But as you can see, this bushing has been pushing out. Well, there you go. They wear really quick. They don't really give. They more or less rub and wear apart, and then they get hard and brittle. Now, the difference on the bushings, they had a washer here. Well, it was pushing, you know, probably this side, that side, but it wasn't compressed when it was put in. So like they're both touching, but they worked their way out. Now the bushings that we got that are OE, actually got them from, no, what is that? What is this place? Yeah, got them from Top Flight. So you have two sides. You have this sleeve that's actually made into it. It goes all the way through it. That has a washer. So it's a washer sleeve that goes through it. And then you have these other two washers that are actually have a taper on one side in the middle. So they go on there like that. And then you have the second sleeve that has a taper like this that goes through it. And then you put it through this other one. I'm going to do it one-handed here. Okay, so has a taper there. Now you see it doesn't reach all the way through. So after you put it through this control arm, you're going to compress this. And it'll be pressed down so hard that this sleeve will be sticking up past this washer. And there's a tool that you use to do this, and it will have a punch in the middle of it that you'll hammer down with it inside this tool, and it'll make a taper like that, and it'll keep this bushing pinched onto the trailing arm. And then you just put your shims on either side, and you're not gonna have the bushing walk apart like these junk bushings do. Now I actually got it stuck in there, but there we go. And it's just, I literally just knocked that one out. I mean, you can see in there, it just tore this bushing to pieces. So yeah, no, I don't recommend these bushings, y'all. Let me knock the sleeves out here, and I will show you the install and the tool for this. Okay, this is the little tool that you buy to compress it. As you can see there, it's got that smashed there and smashed there. Now, I already flared it, so anyway, this fits right inside there. And then I'll take this hammer right here and just whack it probably about 10 times pretty hard to get it to flare out. So you want to make sure that when you do that, you have that washer on and the bottom one's on when you put the already flared piece in. But basically you just put that on, you tighten it down pretty tight. What I did is I had it braced right here against the vise, and then once I was tightening it and it started to spin, that was good enough. So now we just got to loosen it up. Now you don't want to over tighten this with an impact gun, because the metal on both sides of this are pretty thin. I mean, it might be thick, but that there is thin, and you'll end up bending it. So definitely just use a ratchet, or I used a long breaker bar. I just didn't overkill on it. Anyway, I think we just about got this here. And see the little pin right there? That's what you set it down on, and that is the finished product right there. Look at the other side. That's the one that it came already flared, and that is the one that you flare. So it's definitely gonna hold it together now. Alright, I'm gonna take this over there and we are gonna go ahead and start putting it back together. Okay, we have the control arm, or trailing arm, back in. That's what it looks like with the shims. And I actually had to knock these shims in, so they're fitting there pretty tight. I'm still gonna have to go and get an alignment I'm pretty sure of that. I went ahead and snugged this down because it spins kind of freely on the bolt now, but I do have it all tightened up. Nothing else is attached. So see how much difference there is? It doesn't just flop everywhere. So anyway guys, all I got left to do is put the spring back on, which is the same way it came off, and then I'm gonna put this trailing arm back on. Actually, I'll put this bar back on because I'm gonna raise up the trailing arm level, so that'll go on easy. And then we'll do the spring, then we'll do the half shaft, and then we'll put the brakes on and we'll be done. Hope y'all liked the video. Hope it helps somebody. Anyway guys, I'd appreciate it if y'all go down and give me a like. If you got a comment, leave a comment down at the bottom, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.